All right. Hello out there. I am headed to the Sim Racing Expo in Dortmund, Germany. I leave for the airport in just about an hour, and I'll be headed for the weekend to the Sim Racing Expo, the biggest convention, I guess you'd say, for all things sim racing, all of the hardware and software, game studios, the manufacturers of everything. Head out there and set up little pop-ups, little booths, and you get to go around and explore and see what everybody's up to. The show has, I'm just looking, but the show has a ton of stuff going on. They've got a full stage and everything that I guess they'll be doing different talks and interviews and presentations for the full 3 days that it's open. And I should be there for the full 3 days. I'm going to head to the airport here shortly, and it's a pretty decent trek to get out there. I'm flying to Amsterdam from Boston, and then from Amsterdam I'll fly to Dusseldorf, and then I'll take a train, I think, from Dusseldorf over to Dortmund. And hopefully, fingers crossed, everything with the travel goes all right. If it does, I should make it before it starts tomorrow, and get to experience the full 3 days, and hopefully get there at least relatively towards the beginning of it. But yeah, the folks at Straight 4 Studios that are making Project Motor Racing had reached out to me and asked if I wanted to come, and offered to pay for some of my travel and things. So I figured it would be silly to say no with that sort of offer. And they haven't asked me to do any sort of specific videos or any video at all. I don't actually have to make anything related to them. But I figured I'd film what I'm going to do over this trip. I'm sure there'll be some other videos out there, about the expo overall, and overviews and stuff like that. I'm just going to focus on what I find interesting, and whether that be a 10-minute video or an hour long, I guess you'll see by the runtime on this. But yeah, I leave here shortly, so I do need to finish up packing and grab my Goodyear hat and get on the road. I try to pack pretty light for these kind of things. I'm just going to bring, it's just 4 days, so I'll just bring a duffel bag. And I made some stickers. So if I'll run into anybody at some point, I can give you a sticker if anybody recognizes me. But I also got this book I'm going to read. I want to read a book while I'm on the flight or something. So figured it's about time I actually read Jackie Stewart's autobiography. I've heard mixed reviews about this book in particular, but yeah, it should be good enough for this trip. But yeah, not that much else interesting. I'll bring a couple cameras. I got one of these cool Ridge battery packs as well, which has been super handy, and my other camera that I can leave set up on a tripod that I've got, which is pretty cool too, but nothing crazy. Small trip, small, nice and light. Hopefully can run between flights at the airport. New England.
Normally, and note the oxygen is flowing, so don't worry if the bag doesn't inflate. Be sure to adjust your...
disturb you any longer during the flight. If anything changes on the arrival time, I will let you know, of course. For now, I would like to wish you a very good flight and a good morning. Thank you.
Nächster Halt, Dortmund Hauptbahnhof, Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung rechts.
All right, I've made it to Dortmund, Germany. I got about 3 hours of sleep last night. I think I took every form of transportation possible, but it actually went pretty smooth, except for the German trains. There was a bit of a delay there, but it's almost 11 local, and that's when the first thing on stage happens. So I just dropped my stuff off at the hotel, and I'm walking over to the show, and we'll see if the excitement of the show can keep me going all day. I did hear rumor that there is a new rally sim launching, and that sounds very exciting. So I'm excited to look at that and everything else that there is there. Oh, I love the cars in Germany. Weird. Sim stuff is real life. It's very weird. Whoa. This is kind of overwhelming as soon as you walk in.
A false start for Ben, so that is not good. Seeing some penalties, yeah, a couple of people actually managed to get that as well. Ralph and indeed Shiva as well, both with 15-second time penalties. This was like who crosses the line in first position. Maybe.
day that was. I've made it back to the hotel now. But man, I feel like I saw so much stuff today, and I've written a very small notepad of things that happened. But I think the main thing that sticks with me from today is the Assetto Corsa Rally game. I don't think anybody could have predicted that. It sounds like there was an event, or I know there was an event from talking to folks, but it sounds like there was an event yesterday that where this was all revealed, and a bunch of folks have made videos about it and things already. But I got my first try and look at it and everything today. I think I probably put some of the footage earlier on, and I'll maybe put a bit more of it now. But I got a chance to run a full Welsh stage in the Fiat Abarth 131 Rally, which is a fun car. It's actually a pretty tame car, which is why I chose it. It was one of I think there was 5 cars you could pick from, and it was one of the historic ones, but it's a little bit easier to drive generally than the Delta, the Lancia Delta is. So I thought it'd be a good one to go with. And that's one of the things about this. When you try out sims and you're trying out all these different things at an expo like this, you're jumping in a random rig. You're jumping into a random equipment setting that you haven't practiced on, or you don't have a concept of something to compare to with other sims and things. So it's really hard to get an opinion really quick about how something is. It's all going to depend on how well the gear is set up. It is, of course, going to depend on how good the game is. But I would highly doubt anybody that can play one of these things for 10 minutes and have a well-formed opinion on it. There's no way. There's too much going on here. It's not a simple game. But I was able to stay on the stage almost the entire way. Just one mistake, getting distracted with pace notes and things. But I was able to stay on the stage for the entire stage, driving the 131. And it was a 10-kilometer stage, so pretty good distance. And I thought it was really intuitive. I jumped straight in, 4-in gear, 4-in setup, and was able to make it work over the course of a stage. I talked to, I think his name was Matt, who was running the booth for quite a while. And it sounds like the plan is with any alpha, to add a bunch of stuff over the coming weeks after it launches. And I don't know what the full game will launch with when it finally launches, but it feels to me, having played AC Evo, it seems like this game, Assetto Corsa Rally, is already more advanced than AC Evo is, even though that's been in alpha now for over a year, I think, or about 6 months at least. But yeah, very excited for it overall. And it was the biggest thing today that stuck out to me was Assetto Corsa Rally. That overall, the trade show is just so busy. There were so many people there, and everybody I talked to that has come to the show in the past, either at Dortmund the last year or back at the Nürburgring, said that Friday was always a bit calmer. There wasn't a lot going on, but it at points was hard to walk around just with how many folks were there. So I'm a little worried about tomorrow and what that's going to be like. I tried to try out as many things as I could today, knowing that I may not be able to do it tomorrow or even Sunday. With the amount of people there, but the people ended up, for me, being the main thing that was so fun. I met quite a few folks that I know that I've wanted to meet for a long time, and I've also met a bunch of folks that knew me. That it was really fun to interact and have great conversations with people, and that I feel like that's the main reason why these things are fun, is just getting to meet other people, sharing your enjoyment and everything for sim racing. It's really what makes this fun. It felt like for somebody that mainly interacts with sim racing over the internet, I felt like I was seeing the internet in person for the first time, which was really weird, but very awesome at the same time. There are so many static cars on display at this. I probably threw a bunch of those in the whatever I'm going to make this video, but yeah, there's a lot of cars, a lot of modern GT and LMP cars and things. It's cool to see that stuff interspersed with all the sim stuff as well, just to kind of tie it back to the reason why we all like this in the first place is just the cars and stuff. A couple vintage cars as well, which is cool. An old Alpha touring car, or DTM, I think, Alpha DTM Nicola Larini car, and Project Motor Racing has the Audi LMP car there, which is really cool. I got to try out Project Motor Racing a little bit today, just for a second, but tomorrow I should be able to spend a little bit more time with it, so I guess I'll save any sort of thoughts on that till tomorrow. But I did spend a good amount of time with the Heusinkveld folks, who have been such a great support for myself And it was really nice to meet Remco, and Niels is also there. Just seeing their whole booth and setup. They have Automobilista 1 setup. Niels has his special physics. I guess this is physics developed for an actual Formula team that does junior Formula stuff, Formula 3, Formula 4, and some other cars. And he made some physics in Automobilista 1 for them to do driver training. And he has they have three separate rigs set up to do testing with that. And it's really challenging, but super fun. The force feedback, and this is actually something across all the different things I got to try today, that the force feedback is so strong in all of these. I don't know if it's just how they do it at the trade shows or if people are running, 15 to 20 Newton meter force feedback, but that seems to be the norm at these things, which is like 4 times as much as I run typically, or about that much. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it was fun trying the Heusinkveld rigs. They have their Formula rim mounted to them, which I spent a little bit of time with Niels going over, how they designed it and what it's all about with the ergonomics of it. It's different looking than a lot of other modern Formula rims, where it's a bit bigger, at least seeming to me, wide, and the grips itself, it doesn't really look like the ones that you would see in a real race car, but it does give you great access to all the different buttons, and you can do everything without having to move your hands at all. And I found it pretty comfortable driving these types of cars. They're the perfect type of car for it, with paddle shifting, or I did one of them sequential with their little sequential that they have. But I thought it was really fun. The wheel feels good. The Simucube that they have it hooked up to felt super strong, but also good, very detailed. You can feel like every little bump. And Automobilista 1, still a great sim. And so, yeah, it holds up well. I saw there was always a line for trying those out at their booth today. So I guess the old sims live on. So a lot of good fun today, and it's just the first day. I did try out almost everything that I could today, and we'll have to see how tomorrow is with the amount of people there. But if all I do tomorrow is walk around and talk to folks, that will be enough. I think it's going to be a great time. And I think for me now, I'm so tired. I've been up for almost 2 days at this point, just with a little bit of sleep on the flight over here. So I'm going to try to find something to eat and then get to bed and then wake up and do it all again tomorrow. I'm really excited for it.
The great thing about iRacing is when we have such massive community events, you do not have to be a top 40 racer in the world to feel that competitiveness. You can go find a great race in lower speed.
Day 2 of the Sim Racing Expo definitely didn't disappoint. There were so many people yesterday. I'm recording this in the morning. I got home way too late last night to record anything, but reflecting on it, it is crazy how many folks do sim racing. It's a massive show. And yesterday, or on Friday, the first day, there were a lot of folks, but on Saturday, it was absolutely packed. Like shoulder to shoulder, it was kind of tough to move around at times. I walked around a good amount, but not as much as on Friday. I was just kind of trying to hang out and find some space. But I did get to try some things, which was surprising, a great surprise actually. But I have some notes again. Let me try to summarize some of the cool stuff that I saw at the show. When I first walked in, I had heard rumor that this company BDH has made a force feedback shifter, and I didn't get to try it. I have some footage, maybe I'll put over the top, or I showed earlier, but it's in a glass case. It's kind of hidden away. It's this brand new thing that they're making. It's huge, but it is a force feedback shifter, so you can like feel the gears, or you can tune it actually to a car and how you would want it to feel for that given car. You can change the pattern that you'd want in it, all digitally. And, you can feel the gears grind if you're shifting without the clutch. I've thought for a while that this would be the next kind of cool thing for an H pattern anyway, is to have a force feedback one that kind of interacts with the clutch at least, or has some mechanisms like that. And it sounds like BDH have developed it. I haven't been able to try it, but I did talk to some of the folks at Heusinkveld, and they were able to try it. And hopefully today, the final day of the show, I'll be able to test it out, or just see what it's like. I heard great things from the folks that were able to try it, Remco specifically. He said it gave him goosebumps. So, it's got to be good if it is good for those folks. But it's massive. It's outrageously expensive. I think it's like 2,500 euros for it. So not something that I would purchase, but it's neat that somebody's making one. I'm hoping that this is something that could come out at some point, that force feedback shifters could be a thing, because I think it would be absolutely awesome. So it was neat to see that. It was the first thing that caught my eye. I then was super lucky. So I was walking around ImSim, who is a company that I believe they make, their full thing is making motion rigs. But I was pulled over by Hugo, who was helping out over there, and I was able to jump in a full motion rig and test out the Assetto Corsa Rally game for quite a long time. They let me kind of do what I wanted to do. I was able to test out the Lancia Delta on a tarmac stage, and then I was able to do the 131 again on a gravel stage like I had done yesterday. So I've experienced this game in two different rigs now, and it was just as impressive in this motion rig as it was in the first one I did on Friday. It found it just really fun. It's just fun. The motion rig was wild. It is tiring being in full motion. I'm sure I've got some footage, hopefully, that I can superimpose over this, but the amount of movement is, I think they probably have it on high settings just to kind of impress folks or show off what the thing can do. But I did like 20 kilometers total, and I was kind of tired by the end of it. It was very cool, but also something that I can't imagine doing for any sort of long distance. It would be exhausting to do. But the game is very cool. And I think the biggest issue, if I didn't say this already, is going to be the lack of content initially. 100 kilometers, 10 cars. It's going to, for rally, it's going to get kind of stale pretty quick. So I really hope that they can develop more stuff and release more stages, especially, but even cars as well in the short term. It sounds like they're going to do that, but how much will there be is the question. There's 4 locations at the 1.0 launch once this game comes out, and I don't know how many kilometers of stages that will be, but the more the merrier, obviously. And I think this will be a game that a lot of folks will like a lot. It feels like a real sim. The weather effects and things are very cool. You could imagine it's the same. It feels like a lot of the same stuff from Assetto Corsa Evo has just been pulled over into the rally game. So you can choose all the time of day and settings and weather and everything. And it feels very open. You can actually drive to the starting line, which I've never seen in a rally game. It's like 150, 200 meters or something before the start. You can pull up and do that. You obviously can drive to the finish as well after the finish line. You can drive to the control. So it feels like it's trying to be an authentic kind of rally game. And, in my opinion, in order to be something that will really attract folks, it's going to need a lot more distance, like 10 times what they're planning on at the beta or alpha launch or whatever it's going to be in November. I think it's 100 kilometers. So you need like at least 10 times that to make it something that I think the RBR folks anyway will be interested in. But anyways, I've talked too much about the rally game, but it is a very exciting thing, and I was so happy to get to try out the game and the motion rig and all that stuff for quite a long time. I really thank Hugo over there for letting me do that and pulling me aside. It was the ImSim Gara Carbano motion rig. Crazy stuff that I would never get to try otherwise. So very cool. And then the big thing from yesterday was I got to spend some time with Project Motor Racing and talk to some of the folks there, as well as try out the game for a little while. I haven't confirmed with them, but I feel like it would be weird to not disclose. I have been able to test Project Motor Racing at home, some of the beta, test driving the cars, but I haven't been able to race against the AI. I've only been able to do hot laps in different cars and stuff prior to the show. And so my main thing I wanted to try today or yesterday when I got to try it was testing the cars against AI and seeing just how the offline racing was. So Project Motor Racing, I think in the marketing and the thing that's interesting to me is that it's going to be a game. In that, I don't mean that it's not a sim, but a game that you can race, have a career, race against AI, have, an offline experience. They're really marketing this as something that you can do offline, as well as online competition. They have plenty of that at the show. They've got a huge stage set up where you can race head to head against people. But they're really saying, this is going to be a game where you have an offline career mode and things. And I've been very eager to try that. In the beta that I have access to, it's just time trials and things. So being able to test the AI is something that I was really looking forward to do and getting to talk to them as well. And so it's tough, again, trying these things for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I got like a half an hour with this one, but even that, I'm in a foreign rig and everything, and I really can't make any comments about the handling. In my own experience, some of the cars I quite like, how it drives, other ones not as, keen on, but it's all being developed very rapidly. Like every day there are new updates for it and things. So I don't even know what the final version would be like. So if the game and everything surrounding that is good and is entertaining, like I think there's a lot here to be excited about. I do think that folks are maybe, I don't want to say overly excited, but everybody's like really hammering like how good is this game going to be? Very looking forward to it. And I think part of that's the marketing. The show, I've probably shown some stills and stuff, but there are so many Project Motor Racing things, billboards, advertisements, rigs, at this show. It's, a lot of it, I think they're kind of putting on a big part of the Sim Racing Expo, at least sponsoring it. And so it's everywhere. And so the marketing and stuff is so heavy. Everybody that I get comments from and stuff on other videos, very eager to see Project Motor Racing and, is it going to be good or not? Only time will tell with that, but it sounds like their focus, is in an interesting place for me in that there is this heavy offline career mode, single player experience component that, sounds interesting. So I did get to talk to, one of their higher ups. I think it was a CTO. I believe they were just talking about the game and things, and a couple interesting tidbits. And maybe the one that is the most interesting for a lot of the sim racing folks is that this game will fully support modding. And so I guess the game itself, the file base for it is XML, which is a text type format of file that is completely editable. And apparently nothing in the game is hidden away. So people could create obviously cars and tracks and things, but you can edit even the shaders for the game or different integral components of the game itself. The game engine is the Farm Simulator engine from Giant Software. And Farm Sim has a very strong modding community. So it sounds like that same thing's going to exist in the Project Motor Racing space. which is really exciting. And they're also going to have like a hub. I think you could host mods yourself if you want for download, but they're going to have an official mod hub, not a store. Apparently it's all free. There's no cost for mods, which is wonderful. But they're going to have a hub where you can log on, and they're going to curate that a little bit. So they're going to make sure stuff works. And you could go on there and download things kind of officially. And also if you're playing on consoles, that will be available there. So having full mod support is going to be such a great thing for this, I think, especially because there's no historic tracks. There's a bunch of historic cars, but maybe you're missing one or two in a class or something because they couldn't get a license. If people can just mod those things in, that'll be a really amazing thing for this game. I don't know. It's such early days. You never want to say something and think back on it a couple years later and say how wrong you were. But I do think it's good. It's well placed that people are excited for this game. It seems like, the folks developing it, have a very strong passion for all of this stuff. They want to make something good. And so I hope it is, when it fully comes out and it impresses everybody. It has, this great long-term modding support and everything that, I think a lot of folks like in a lot of these games. Yeah, but how was the racing? So I got to do a little bit of racing. I did 2 very quick races against the AI, one at Donington Park and one at Mid-Ohio. I should have footage of at least one of those, to show. And, AI was interesting. I like, how do you sum it up with only, 10 minutes of experience with it? But, interesting kind of notes with AI. They didn't seem like they're like with every other sim where they're just following a line, like a pre-recorded line, and then they like make a move at some point and deviate off of that, but go back to it. Like I saw interesting stuff off the start. There was a bit of, first corner checkup, but it was a little different than I've seen in other games in the past where it seemed a little more organic, where they were kind of trying to find a different line. I was able to get side by side with AI cars, and it didn't seem like they were trying to boot me out of the way or anything like that. They made a little bit of space, but they were also very hard. I ran them initially, I think at the Mid-Ohio race at like 98% difficulty, and that was honestly way too fast. At least, I'm on this foreign rig and stuff, so I was having just kind of the difficulties getting used to the pedals and everything that they have there. But 98%, they were super fast. I lowered them down, I think, to 92% or so for the Donington race, and was able to barely keep up with the back of the pack. I think I passed a couple cars. But yeah, it felt a little like gamey in a good way, where the AI felt like they were very aware of the player, and, they were kind of trying to block and stuff like that. I only got to try it for 15 minutes. I can't state that enough that, this is not like an extensive testing, but I didn't see anything that I was like frightened about, which is great. Cause like I said, I haven't had access to the AI, in the testing mode that I have at home. And it made me a little concerned that we're so close to the release of the game. And there's, I wasn't able to look at the AI. I wasn't sure if it was developed yet or anything like that. But yeah, that made me excited. I heard some details about the career mode as well, where, apparently it's very ruthless in, that you're able to, it's got like a monetary system where you buy cars with the in-game money, fictional money, right? You're given like $10,000 or whatever it is, and then you can buy a car, and then you race and you earn money through the races. But you can like run out of money. You can go broke and basically end your career, apparently. It's a different thing than a lot of the sims, I think, that have come out. The modding support, the offline career, as well as the physics and the cars and stuff. I can't give you guys the input on whether or not the driving experience is super realistic or not. I'm not a real racing driver, so it's all just kind of comparing it to other things out there. But if the game itself, the game part of it is good, this could be a really popular sim out there. So really fun to try it. I really thank the Project Motor Racing folks for allowing me to come into their like private room and everything to test it for a while and record some footage and all that. And I guess we'll have to see what it's like in a month or so when it comes out. But I think it's all right to be excited about it if you're excited out there, because I think it's going to be an interesting one. It's a little different than a lot of the other games out there. I'd be also remiss if I didn't mention that I did get to meet Ben Collins yesterday, who's at the show with the Project Motor Racing folks, but I got to talk to him for a minute, and very nice guy, really like a normal dude. If you're not familiar with Ben Collins, who was the Stig on Top Gear, famously, and so kind of an idol to meet. But I did get to talk to him briefly, and he has started his own YouTube channel, and I was able to record a little thing, so I'll put that here.
All right, what's your it's Ben
Collins Gaming. Check it out. It's cool stuff. I've driven some fast rigs. Obviously, Project Motor Racing features heavily, and some really cool retro stuff. Lots of 80s arcades, which I'm obsessed with.
Oh man, retro stuff. That's I do a lot of like Jeff Crammond stuff and the old Papyrus games and all that.
I've been trying to interview Jeff Crammond.
Yeah, he's elusive.
He is elusive. I got to speak to him though, which was brilliant because Grand Prix 2 was my go-to.
So I just made force feedback for that. I made an app for that.
Can I try that? I'd love to have it.
It's all free and stuff. If you want, I can show you which video that is. But so
that's interesting. So I was asking him about getting Grand Prix 2 on a modern rig.
Yep.
Which would be.
It's widescreen and everything. The guy that made the wrapper, it's wild.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I'll try it.
But it was very nice to get to talk to him for a moment. He said, maybe I put it in, but he said he was trying to get an interview with Jeff Crammond, which would be so cool. But I love the fact that he's doing, old school sims, and I don't know, kind of neat to see what he's up to these days, being the personality that he was, for years with Top Gear and everything. But in general, the show was super fun. I had a ton of awesome conversations with people. I ran into a couple of the HRRC alumni. It was very nice to get to talk with them. And in general, the interactions I've had with people have been really nice. A lot of really knowledgeable. It's neat. I think I mentioned yesterday that it feels like sim racing is real life, and that I only ever interact with all of this stuff online, through chatting with people, or through streaming, through making videos. And so to see so many like-minded people in one place, you can have conversations that I don't get to have with many other folks in real life, where you talk about, the cars you like, the games you like, and have really in-depth conversations with people that also know all of this stuff. So you're not having to like overly explain it. It's really cool. And so, today is the final day of the show, which is a bit sad. It's gone by a lot faster than I think I thought it would. But there's a few things I want to try today. Hopefully I hope it's busy, but I hope it's a little less busy today, so that I can actually try a couple other things and see how it is. But it's been an awesome experience thus far, and I'm excited to see the final day of it. So I'm gonna go have breakfast and get ready, and we'll see how it is.
Champion and only 3 times world champion. What can we say? Give a warm hand of applause, everybody. Thank you. Great. So maybe.
What's the best way? First, second? Right.
But if you like don't go it, then the kick is like you go full throttle and it goes up and then it's suddenly like my first experience. I was driving, I was like, this is not too bad, and I hit the full throttle and
Where did you drive it?
Sorry?
Where have you driven it?
Autodrome Most was the first time.
Okay.
And then Red Bull Ring, Slovakia Ring.
I don't even know how I'm going to talk about today. Today was the third day, final day of the Sim Racing Expo. Sunday, I think I might have mentioned maybe in the first clip thing I did at the beginning of this that I was nervous about what am I going to do 3 full days there? Will that be boring maybe? Or I mentioned that at some point. And today was anything but boring. I would say for me, today was the very best day at the Sim Racing Expo. A lot less folks around in general, which it's just Sunday, I guess not as many people attend as on Saturday. It was absolutely nuts on the Saturday day with how many folks there were. But a little less folks, still plenty, but a little less means that you could actually run in and try things. And so my goal today heading into it was to try a bunch of stuff that I had seen for the past couple of days and make sure I actually got to experience it. I walked in, very first thing I wanted to try today was the Lotus 49. There's a setup, a motion rig near the very front of the expo that had a Lotus 49 running with a big wooden steering wheel rim, kind of too large for the car, but still really cool to see, like a vintage setup with an H pattern. And they've been running leaderboards for the past few days, and not really competitive in that way, but I really wanted to try it since it was really the only pure vintage styled rig at the show. And I walked in today and the leaderboard was gone, and they had switched it to the Ferrari 312 67 F1 car at Brands Hatch. And still fun, but I wasn't able to compete. I know Martin Bear was here and stuff. A few other people did it, and it would have been neat to see if I could stack up. But yeah, got to try that. It had full active pedals and everything. And man, I think I might have said this in relation to some of the motion stuff I did with the rally game, but at the shows, I feel like all of the equipment, most of the equipment, quite a lot of it is cranked up all the way. So the force feedback is as hard as it goes. The motion and motion rigs is as crazy as it can be. Pedals, like the active pedals, have like really strong forces and things. And unfortunately, it kind of ruins the experience a bit. I can tell, I could understand why these manufacturers want to do stuff like that. They want to show off what the gear can do. And people maybe that aren't as keyed into it maybe can't tell the nuance in it. So yeah, this rig itself was really moving all over the place, but especially the active pedals. The clutch was, I want to guess that it took like 40 kilograms to push the clutch down, which is as hard as I do my brake back in my rig. It was really tough to push, maybe even more weight than that. So it was quite hard to drive. I didn't do too well. These are all my race driver excuses anyway, but it was neat to try it. From there, I really wanted to get to the Active Shifter from BDH, but I'll come back to that because I wasn't able to get in kind of right in the morning. But I ended up running into Jardier, who is somebody that I just know from watching his content. I've really never talked to him outside of maybe commenting on a stream a couple times or something like that when he was doing some rally stuff with us in RBR. And he recognized me, which was very cool. He said hello to me, actually. I'm a bit shy, I've learned with this. I don't really like walking up to people and introducing myself as much. But he introduced himself to me, and he was standing in front of his car, which is a KTM car that he's racing in some series. He was talking to me. I might be able to put some of the footage here where he's actually describing what he does. But it sounds super cool. I love the idea of a sim racer, or really any racing driver, doing real racing and commentating while they do it. I think that's one of the things, if you look at sim racing itself and the type of things people watching sim racing online like to do, and it's really watching a driver. And there's, of course, the whole safety question with it. I don't know the exact right answer about all of that, but apparently the series that he's done a little bit of and might do some more of in the future, driving this KTM, lets him commentate. He's done a full live stream of the race and everything. And I could see something like that. Jimmy was also there talking with us, and he's trying to do something similar, or wants to do something similar, but, maybe rightly so. Some of the sanctioning bodies push back on it, but it would be a really interesting thing. I'm surprised he can actually do it. I was asking him, just with the G-forces and everything, like, how can you actually commentate while you're driving a real racing car? But I guess he does it. He's quite a Superman.
This year at the Red Bull Ring, I started a stream in a pit lane in a box.
Do your audience love that? They must love that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what's missing with a lot of the live racing stuff.
That was only, nobody ever done anything like that.
Yeah. Dude, that's sick.
Hey, what's up, man?
It's this guy again.
Very nice guy, like one of the nicest people I've ever met. I think everybody says that, but Jardier is a really super nice guy. But he did let me go sit in the car. It was fun to squeeze myself in there, and I've grabbed the camera for a minute and look around the cockpit and stuff. Wild thing. I think these guys that jump from sims to real life, they obviously want to do it, so there's a passion there, but I don't think they get enough credit for the skill, as well as the getting over the fear and how, you really have to. This car itself goes like 300 kilometers per hour, like almost 200 miles an hour in a straight line at the end of a long straight or something. And so that takes some guts to do. And I don't think as many of us are quite as confident as we might think we would be. I'm happy to admit that I probably would chicken out. It would take me a while to build up to something like that. But you see these guys like Jardier, like Jimmy, just jump in cars. And I'm sure they have to work through it, but I don't think they get enough credit for how much skill and guts, I guess I'll say, that takes. Meeting Jardier, though, was really what kicked off this to be such a great day, because he was able to help me get in touch with the Asetek folks who do a bunch of different gear, and they let me jump into their private room to do the Assetto Corsa Rally, kind of time restricted. Me and Nico Hillebrand were in there. And so we got to spend quite a bit of time with it. I'd say at least 20 minutes or so in a bit more of a quiet environment where you can actually, concentrate on what's going on. And I just have great feelings about the game. I've been talking to folks at the show, basically everybody, just how excited everybody is about Assetto Corsa Rally. And I got to spend a lot of time, in this as well as at other points, testing it out. And yeah, I think I'll echo probably what I said earlier in this as well, that it's just a very exciting game and very unexpected. So I'm not sure. It's something that I don't think anybody really thought they were working on, or maybe that they would pull into Evo itself. But I really like that it's a separate game, that it has, its own development team. It's not made directly by Kunos. It's actually a different studio that's making it. And some of the folks involved with it are very knowledgeable about rally, about sim rally. I've met multiple folks that are working on the game that do RBR. Even a couple of them race in Sim Rally Masters or have at different points. And so that these are people that know this stuff. This is not some random game developers that this is their next task. It is something that a lot of the folks involved, especially the ones at the show, know Sim Rally and things. So it makes me very interested about it. The Asetek piece was great, though, getting to try some of their gear, their wheels and things. I really liked their pedals. And Alex was, I believe, the name of the Asetek person that was helping just, show me what to do, how it all works and stuff. And apparently the pedals I was using are quite affordable at the entry level. So they have a bunch of add-ons you can add to them, but they're like €130, probably like $150, $60 for the base pedals themselves. And with those, it's pretty basic pedals, just basic, I think, potentiometer type pedals and things. And then you can add the additional pieces. So if you want the nicer, brake pedal with the load cell, that's like another €100 add-on, or I'm not sure the exact price, but there's a little more, cost to it. And then you can get some nicer springs and nicer clutch pieces. But I think it offers kind of a cool upgrade as you go if you buy something. Maybe you want the really nice pedals, but you can't spend all like €600 that the fully decked out pedals would be. You could buy the base of them, and then maybe in a year buy one of the springs or something, kind of upgrade your way. I just thought that was a neat thing. I'm not a big, you guys know I'm not a big like gear nut in that I'm always reviewing gear and stuff like that, but it's what I took away from using it. And I really liked those pedals quite a bit. And it was nice to experience the game on a rig like that felt not so dissimilar from my own. At least it seemed like something that was similar enough that I got a good feel for the game. And I got to do some tarmac stuff. I got to do some more gravel in the classic cars and everything. And it was really fun. From there, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I got to talk to Kim, who's an RBR. He actually approached me, but he's an RBR guy, Sim Rally Masters and stuff. One of the quickest in it. Definitely competes much higher level than I do. But he's working for Simucube and was able to show me some of the gear and stuff that they have. I was able to try the rally game there as well. So I probably have footage of all of this. I hope I recorded most of it. I think I recorded that as well. So I'll try to splice some stuff in. But I've been able to try through the few different sessions the game on multiple different rigs and gear, and it all feels like I can jump in and kind of understand what's going on pretty quickly, which is very encouraging to me. I'm able to take my skills from RBR and even Dirt Rally 2 and EAWRC. I'm able to take those skills, especially the RBR ones, and jump in, and it feels like I would expect it to feel, which is, I think, the most I can say about the physics. I heard some folks talk about that they think it's slippery, not enough grip, but I think it's because it strays more towards the RBR, the Richard Burns Rally, and really rally sim fans type experience, where it is hard. I mean, slowing a heavy car down on some maybe it's tarmac, but there's a little bit of dust and stuff in places. You might need a little bit more braking than you might expect, and it just feels like I would expect it to, which is the highest praise I think I can give it. But really appreciated getting to try Simucube. It's one I've had my eyes on for a wheelbase for quite some time. So you never know, maybe someday something like that might happen, but they're definitely some nice equipment that they've got. But then really cool stuff. And this is all going to be about the rally game, but I was able to, thanks to Jimmy, able to get into the back room that they have with the Assetto Corsa developers. And it was all of the different development team members that were at the show, pretty much. I think they all showed up because they wanted to talk to Jimmy and things, but I got to kind of steal some of the conversation while he was driving. And then I got to drive as well on their big rig that they have in there. But I got to learn a bunch of interesting stuff about the game, really ask the guys that are making it some of the really specific questions that I have. And we'll have to see. I really hope it does well. It was very nice to talk with all these folks. There's a bunch of great questions and things that I was able to get answered about the game itself. I think a lot of the coverage thus far has been talking about the sim aspect of it. For some reason, everybody focuses on physics, even myself, from time to time. But there's a lot more to these games than just the physics. And there's a lot of interesting stuff that I learned from talking to them that, like, yes, this is going to be a hardcore sim. That's really what they're trying to make. But there's a big game part of it as well that sounds really intriguing. It seems like they've actually spent quite a lot of time working on a single player experience for this. I don't think any of this is going to be in the launch, and I don't know how much they were okay with me sharing, so I'm not going to get extremely into detail, but they're making several different modes for it once it fully launches that you can do, of course, single rallies and practicing stages and all that, but you can set up a championship, and the AI themselves actually drive the stage. I don't think in a way where you can watch them, but they simulate AI actually driving through a stage. So most rally games, if you're running against AI, when you get to the end of the stage, they kind of randomly generate a time that happens. But they're planning or trying to actually have the AI simulate through the stage. And what this means, especially for road order position, is that if you are first on the road, you're going to have maybe like dust and stuff, but it's going to be a clean road. Whereas if you're 30th on the road, it's going to have simulated 30 cars driving through, or 29 cars driving through the stage before you. And apparently it's not like a setting where you have defaults and worn and extra worn stage conditions or something. It's kind of more organic in that the AI themselves have driven the stage. Maybe one went a little wide one time, one didn't go as wide. This is at least what I understood from what they were telling me. So, when you load up the stage, maybe you're, 30th, but the next time you do that same stage, and even if you're still 30th in line, it's maybe going to be a slightly different condition. If it's a gravel stage, there might be more ruts in certain areas than other ones, whereas there's a tarmac stage, maybe there's more gravel dragged on a corner that drivers are cutting a little bit more. And I think that sounds very interesting to me. It could keep it maybe a lot more fresh, maybe not knowing exactly how the stage is going to be condition-wise when you jump on it. And there's all the weather stuff too. This has got, from what I can tell, like the Assetto Corsa Evo style weather system. So it's got full different cloud settings and rain and things like that. I'm not sure if there's seasons. I don't think there's seasons. But wet weather there's a noticeable driving difference between wet and dry, even on gravel. And they were telling me that they put a lot of work into the fact that on a gravel surface, if it's dry, you actually might be more bogged down in like a sandy type of surface. So there's a distinct different feeling. I feel like in the mud, in the wet on gravel, you're kind of sliding a lot more, skipping over the top of it. Whereas in the dry, accelerating like the 131 off the line is almost comically slow. It feels like you're just spinning the tires a whole bunch, but it's because they're just trying to work through all this heavy sand and stuff. And I don't think I've really felt something like that before, which is really neat. They said also like atmospheric conditions matter and elevation matters. So if they have some like mountain stages and things that have a lot of elevation rise, your car will absolutely have less horsepower at the top, or certain cars will. It depends on the engine and how it makes power. But yeah, having good AI potentially that also has personalities. They said some of the drivers, so the AI drivers, would be better at certain types of stages. Other ones might be better in different types. Maybe the conditions change the AIs, personality-wise. Some drivers are better in the rain, or some are worse in the rain, stuff like that. It sounds like they're giving it a lot of thought, which means it's not an afterthought to have the AI, which I feel like in almost every rally game in the past 20 years, the AI is absolutely an afterthought. And I'm sure most folks would want to do online stuff, but if there is a good game behind this, that could really be different. That's what I've been saying mostly about Project Motor Racing is I think that's going to have a lot more game elements than we're used to in sim racing. And it seems like this Assetto Corsa Rally is somewhat similar, where it's got a lot of game elements. And I think that's really good. That gives us something to do. That's what I like about a lot of the older games a lot more, is that they had game parts of them, championships, things that you can do that aren't just racing head to head with people in a sprint race or something. It's a little more, I don't know, there's more things there than hot lapping, which I feel like could be a nice trend if that starts picking up everywhere. So I can't thank Jimmy enough, and all the Assetto Corsa people, for letting me kind of sit in on this little private session. And we did also get Niels Heusinkveld in the rig as well to try it out. And he thought I won't put words in his mouth, but I saw smiles. Okay, so if Niels likes it, everybody's going to like it. So from there, with also getting a little bit of help from Jimmy, I was finally able to try out the BDH Shifter. BDH, it's a company that makes shifters. They make some pretty good, kind of normal H-pattern shifters for sim racing. Very good ones. Not pretty good, very good. But they have released an active shifter, and that basically means a force feedback shifter, a shifter that can do more than just slot into gear or have, it's not just like notches or something that's built into it, which there's cool stuff out there, but it actually uses motors and things to simulate different things, and it's all tunable. It's extremely in-depth. It has a billion settings, and really the big things I can take away is that you can tune, of course, what pattern it has. So if you want to put kind of a dogleg type of H pattern where first is off to the side and then it's second and third, like a lot of historic cars where you can tune it. You can change it on the fly. There's just a little knob. You can change how the pattern is laid out. You can change some of the different settings for the spacing of the gears to make it a tighter little H or a much wider one. So you could, in theory, model whatever kind of car you want. And I tried this thing, and I don't really get that excited about gear, but this is so cool.
This is a problem. I need this now. Yeah, it's so cool.
A shifter that, if you rip it out of gear, it vibrates and things, and you can really feel the engagement of it with the clutch. It all works together. I guess it uses SimHub in the background to link to the games, and they said they've tried testing it in basically every sim that they can, from really old stuff like R Factor 1 and all the way up through modern titles, Assetto Corsa, obviously, Automobilista 1 and 2, Project Cars 1 and 2. I don't know. The guy that was there is very, very kind, listed all the different games that they've tried. So that was one of the questions I had, is how would the game know about this? But they've written some software through SimHub that takes care of that part. And I'm sure there's a lot to get it going, but it really feels cool. And it's extremely expensive, and it's something that it's huge, it's quite large, and apparently it takes quite a lot of power to run it. And so I think for me, it's a really neat evolution of something like this. We saw, somebody on my Discord made the point that, we saw DD wheels, 10 years ago at these types of trade shows, and they were really expensive and kind of crazy electronic wise. And then, you know, somebody comes out with a slightly cheaper version that's maybe a little better packaged. And then somebody comes out with an even more entry-level type version. And so I think Moses might be doing something similar in this space with active shifters. And so I hope that this is, you know, it's already very good. It's just like a very serious piece of equipment that I think's a little bit more catering towards like industrial type rigs that you would have set up in like an office or something. But it's, or, you know, some sort of work retreat type thing. But if there's a consumer type version of this at some point, it's definitely going to be something I'm going to try to get on my rig, once there's kind of a more affordable one that makes more sense for me. But, that's absolutely the future. That might be when I finally, say goodbye to my trusty TH8A that I've had for like 15 years. But really quite awesome getting to try that out and just get that experience. I think I captured some of my joy on the limited filming that I did of it. Hopefully you can see some of that. But yeah, really, really fun. So from there, I mean, things started to kind of wind down with the show. But I feel like I got to do most everything that I was looking to do at the show. I didn't get to try out RS's head force feedback thing, which would have been cool. I think there's been a lot of interesting positivity, especially from the real life drivers, but I don't have that experience quite the same as any of the real life drivers would. So yeah, not something that maybe would have clicked with me as much, but it would have been cool to try. Maybe someday in the future I can try something like that. But, you know, otherwise got to really go in and look at everything. Man, everybody, I think it's easy to say, when talking about these things, how nice everybody is. But, yeah, really felt like today, especially, I got to talk and interact with more folks. And, I felt very comfortable the whole time at this show, just with everybody I had met that came up and said hi, which I thank you so much, you know, for doing. It really gives me a lot of happiness just to hear people that watch. They'll tell me, you know, certain video that they've watched and that they like, or the certain types of things that I do that they like, and very specific stuff too. And it's cool because you never know when you're making things, recording stuff, you know, what people actually watch or don't watch or take from it. And so to hear how different videos and stuff have resonated with people is always very cool. It's very gratifying. And I appreciate people for coming up to me and talking about stuff like that. And then as well, on the other side of things, I got to meet people that I've talked to maybe for years online. You know, some of the Heusinkveld folks or some of the other drivers in different series and things. But then I also got to meet folks like Jimmy and Jardier and Steve Super GT. I forced a sticker upon him, since he somehow knew who I was, which I didn't know that was a thing. But just really neat to meet all those guys and have nice chats with them and get to learn a bit about what they're up to and who they are in person. And I really feel comfortable saying that they're all as nice as you probably think they are in person. They're all quite genuine people, and it's nice to actually, you know, get to interact with them and have a bit of a chat and all that. So yeah, it was a very busy day. I'm sure I'm missing a few details, and I have no idea how I'm going to mash all this together to make a video. So hopefully it all ends up making sense to you watching at some point, but I'm probably going to take the trip home tomorrow to try to digest everything and maybe add a little epilogue onto this, just saying a few things about the show overall. But for now, I need to get some food. I've got my flight right around noon tomorrow, and I got to get back to Dusseldorf from Dortmund, take a flight to Amsterdam, kind of do the whole thing in reverse, and then Amsterdam back to Boston. And hopefully everything goes well with the traveling, and I make it there on time, and should be back in the afternoon. Somehow you flying back to the States from Europe. You almost don't lose any time. I'll probably take off from Amsterdam at like 4 p.m. here. And then when I land, it'll be 6 p.m. or 5 or 6 p.m. back home. It makes for a very long day. But yeah, it's an interesting thing when you travel. But anyways, enough rambling. I'm going to go do that.
Fahrgäste, Ihre Rechte als Fahrgast bei Verspätungen oder Zugausfällen finden Sie im Internet unter www.nationalexpress.de.
Special moments when you first get home and you can say hello. Hi, Rig Mears. I missed you, buddy. No need to tell him about the other rigs, all right? I'm very happy with how all that went. It was a wonderful trip over to Germany for the Sim Racing Expo. I've got no voice left now. It's really setting in. Hopefully I didn't catch the convention flu or whatever they call that. But I thank the folks from Straight 4 with Project Motor Racing so much for allowing me to do this. I would have never been able to afford to do this on my own, and I really would like to do this again in the future, whether that be next year. They're doing a Sim Racing Expo in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is a bit closer to me, but still a decent trip, but maybe a lot easier to get to. I don't know if there'll be something in Chicago again, or of course there'll be something in Germany next year, and I would love to do this again, and I'll try to figure out some ways to make that happen, because it just helped reignite some sort of energy inside of me to continue to enjoy this stuff, but maybe branch out, maybe start doing some more new things with other people and try to sink in, maybe enjoy this hobby in some new ways. But yes, thank you Straight 4 for flying me over there, and especially Tim over there. Very, very much appreciate it. And so I've got quite a lot of work to do now to try to, put together what you're watching. I guess if you made it this far, you maybe enjoyed it, but I do hope you enjoy it. It's probably going to be a bit different from all the other things I do, but I feel like I've been saying that now on almost every video that I'm putting out. This one's a little bit different, so let me know if you like it. But yes, let me know if you liked it. And let me know if you also went to Sim Racing Expo or some stuff you've seen there, if I missed something that you think I would like. Or that I should have checked out more or something. I'm sure I'll be making a bunch of videos in the coming months and weeks and months about some of the new stuff, or I can't wait to get my hands on Project Motor Racing and Assetto Corsa Rally, and both of those titles, and test them out a bit more and start, I don't know, seeing what the future is going to be like for those. But it's all very exciting. I think when you're at these shows, you can kind of be swept up in the excitement of what's going on. And so maybe in a week from now, I'll look back and say, okay, maybe that wasn't as cool as I thought it was. But you've got basically my raw impressions of everything through this whole video. And we'll see if it lasts the test of time or not. So yes, thank you for watching. I am going to go sleep and try to get back on Eastern time schedule. It's just enough time to be totally backwards now. But I'll try to get all this together in the next few days, and then move on to the next thing, whatever that is. So thank you for watching. I'm GP Laps. I'll see you all again next time.